All right, hello everyone. Today we're doing a quick turn overview of Pocket Landship. Now, this is a really special game for me, mostly because it's a great solo game that I bought during lockdown in 2020. We all remember that, huh? And I'm also a big fan of World War I history. You might notice I have my little Landship here. Now, this is not included with the game, unfortunately, but you can get these models from Airfix. They're, classic models that you can assemble, glue, and of course paint. So I like to keep this next to me while I'm playing. So this little game is mostly solo, but it does play co-op 2 players. But you can enjoy it just the same solo. So the purpose of this game, your ultimate goal here is to defeat the evil mechs. Now this is alternate history, so you're gonna find some mechs that actually resemble a really popular game by Stonemaier Games. Here's the mech. The artwork is pretty nice as well. So your goal here is to survive in this case, the 3 waves of enemies, right? And what you're gonna pick is your equipment. So you have your starting hull. In this case, we have the Landship hull Mark II, the cannon Mark III, and I never know how to pronounce this word, the sponsons, I think they're pronounced. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So basically, this is a dice rolling game. You're gonna make a few decisions each turn, so it plays really fast. It's also really fun. If you're like me and you like to have a little terrain and do the cannon noises, then you're gonna have a lot of fun. Yep, I'm one of those that goes when I'm playing these games. I am not lying. All right, so the first line of defense. Now you're gonna see the middle flank or center flank, right flank, left flank. That's how the game's organized. And all you're gonna do during your turn is roll dice, and you're gonna have a few decisions to make here. You can assign 1 die to each of your cards. But where it gets challenging is you're gonna do exactly the same thing for the enemy mechs. So we're ready to start. Let's just assign the values. These are tracking dice. Now, their name is pretty self-explanatory. You're gonna be tracking your opponent's their life points, and once you eliminate one of these enemies, you are going to set them aside and bring the one behind them to the front line. So red dice are your tracking dice, and your black dice, which are actually really nice quality, they are your action dice. So let's set these aside, and let's start our turn. So we have a Boar class mech on the right flank, center flank a Stag class mech, and left flank a Mink class mech. So 3 mechs, they're pretty tough, but they're also really fun to destroy. So let's start rolling our action dice. Oh, I usually re-roll dice when they land like this or they touch a foreign object. That's like my house rule with my brother, but we're just gonna leave them like that. So we got 2 4s and 1 2. All right, we gotta start firing. We don't have any damage, so let's get some cannon fire here. So I'm going to assign this one, the number 4, to my cannon, which says high explosive shell or HE shell, damage to any frontline enemy unit. So let's take the weak one here. So we're gonna deal 2 damage to that one. Now we also have a 4 here, which we can use to damage 2 damage to infantry artillery or 1 to a mech. So we're gonna assign this to my sponsons, and we have a 2. And ingenuity says adjust 1 other die up die up 1 up or down 1 pip. Remember, a pip is it's just a dot, right? They call them pips. So if this one goes up a pip, it goes to number 3. Now, I'm just gonna set this one here, although I'm not really gonna do it. I'm not sure if you actually have to do the action or if you can just ignore that one. I'm pretty sure you can ignore it. I will double check for you. But anyways, there's a really good option. Let's say that my Landship took damage. I can actually ignore this die in order to repair this by 1 point of damage. So I'm just gonna let it leave it there on my hull. So all right, so my cannon shot 1 damage to any frontline enemy unit. So this brings this little guy to 3. There we go. And my other cannon, my other weapon, also a 4, attack center front, which center front would be the middle one. 2 damage to infantry or artillery, or 1 to a mech. In this case, this is a mech, so we're gonna bring this from 5 all the way down. Well, not all the way down, just to 4. And this one's not gonna do anything. I'm gonna double check that rule. I'm pretty sure I can just ignore it. So, all right, that was my turn. Now it's the enemy's turn, and here they go. Now, the way you're going to be assigning dice, you're going to be assigning them by values. Now, that's super easy to do. The only thing you need to do is assign them from the largest value, the highest value, sorry, to the lowest value. So the lowest value will go on the left, and the highest value is going to go on the right. Naturally, the middle one is going to go on the middle. So let's roll their dice. And we got a 2, a 5, and a 6. So this is pretty easy. 2 goes here, 5 goes here, and 6 goes here. All right, so let's see what their 2 does. Swap with card to the right. Swapping is super easy. All you do is, well, pretty much swap the card. Now, they do carry their tracking dice with them and their action dice. So this one is pretty much done with their action. So the left flank, number 5, 1 damage to cannon. My cannon Mark III has 4 points of damage or life points, and I'm going to bring that down to 3. So we took some damage there. Now, the only one missing is the board class mech, or the right flank mech. So he has a 6, and 6 does 1 damage to cannon. So our cannon took 2 damage in that turn. So we got to repair that. Now, to win, as I said, you have to destroy all of them, but you lose if you lose your cannon or your hull. You can lose the sponsons, which they're actually, you can bring in some shock troops during other games. This is just the tutorial because you'll notice that it has that, the names are underlined. That is how you identify the tutorial cards. Now the tutorial is pretty fun to play as well. So my options here, I can either just roll my dice and select an action, or I can actually repair this. So my emergency repair option, I can choose to roll 1 less die, or 2 or 3, and repair 1 damage on each card. Now, note that you can only repair 1 damage per card. So I'm gonna do an example of that. So I'm just gonna leave 1 of my dice on the side so I can repair this one, bring it up to 3, and I'm gonna roll the other 2. Notice that this cannon, it can't take any actions this turn. Oh, sorry, 4 and 6, all right. So I have an option here. My sponsons, they can do 4, which is 2 damage to infantry or artillery, or 1 to a mech, which would be the center mech. Or the 6, 1 damage to any frontline enemy unit. This is perfect. Let's see what the hull has. Number 4, repair hull, +2 or +1 to sponsons or cannon. I'm definitely gonna do that. So let's repair this. Number 4, +1s to cannon. So let's bring that up to 4, so my cannon is back to 100%. And my sponsons are going to run a 6, and the 6 is 1 damage to any frontline unit. I'm going to go for the weakest one here. Now, really cool thing about mechs is that when you destroy 2 mechs, you actually take a card here that it can, I believe they're called advantage cards. So it can really give you some really cool powers. So, all right, enemy's turn. We got a 1, 3, and 6. Remember the order, left, middle, and right. So, all right, the left. Number 1, miss, no action. So he pretty much missed. They're really awful at shooting this turn. Nothing there. Well, I'm going to pretend like I did a pretty good job just going to ground with this beautiful beast. So, all right, the middle one, number 3, 1 damage to cannon. So at this point, if you're like me, you're pretty much going to be using your imagination to imagine the commander targeting our cannons because, you know, it's a big, big threat, right? So it's really awesome when you put some flavor into it. That's probably just the dork in me, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you do that. So, all right, right flank mech, the board class, number 6, 1 damage to cannon. So the nice thing about running solo modes, well, this is solitaire games, but one thing that I do like about solo gameplay with dice is that they're totally unpredictable. This does have some advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that you generally don't know what they're going to do, so you really have to take care of all of your cards. The disadvantage in some other games is that it's so random that you can't really plan a strategy to cover. For example, if you know if you're playing a human opponent in a game like Command and Colors or Memoir 44, you know that sometimes they're bringing all their strength in one of the 3 flanks, right? When you're playing a random opponent with a die, that's almost impossible to tell. But let's keep in mind that in a real battle, I've never been in a real battle, but you don't necessarily know what's going to happen. So I do like the randomness, especially in you know, these kinds of really light games. So that was my turn. Now, if we keep going and their mechs eventually destroy my cannon, I lose the game because I really don't have a weapon. If they destroy my whole world, we pretty much are done. Now, when you destroy a mech, let's say I destroy the one in the center, what's going to happen is the one behind, it's going to come down. And then we're going to have another one. We're going to place a tracking die here. And that's how they're going to come. Now, when you destroy the middle one, you only have right and left flanks. So you keep the game going until you destroy all of them. Now, there's a lot of options in this game for replayability. The optional equipment could be your sponsons or your shock troops. The shock troops are really, really fun to use. And there's some really cool combinations that you can bring. Some cannons are more powerful than others. So you can bring, let's say, a really heavy hull and a light cannon, a weaker cannon, sorry. So the replayability is 100% there. Keep in mind, this is a solitary game, so strategy is going to be fairly limited. This could probably remind you to one of those roll and write games. I do love light games. I mean, I play Memoir 44 by myself, so this is a welcome, welcome mechanic. You also have your commanders and your drivers that have once per game actions. They're really cool, really nice, game-changing actions. And these are the advantage cards that you get every time you destroy 2 mechs. For example, advantage, prowess, change any one player die to any value. So they really save your life. When you're playing the higher difficulties, if you win the game, you're probably gonna have like 1 point of life left. So it really does build some tense moments. And that's pretty much all there is to the game. As I said, it does have some co-op options. They're really fun, only play them once. But the solo game is really fun, really welcome. If you're like me that plays, ambience, on the background, then you're going to have a blast with this game. So perfect for solo gamers, especially if you don't have much time on your hands to run a 4-hour game. This is perfect. It usually plays in 15 minutes. I finished it in, I think my quickest game has been like 14 minutes. So that's pretty good to play on your break. So this is Pocket Landship by Scott Allen. And the developer is wordforgegames. I always say WorldForge, but it's wordforge. So Pocket Landship, I bought it on Amazon. I'm not sure if it's still there, but if it is, make sure you pick up a copy.